What do you think is more powerful, love or anger? That question is at the heart of tonight's tangled murder case that turns on a teenage girl, an angry young man, and a famous investigator determined to catch a killer. Here's Deborah Roberts.
It was one of those holidays when everything seemed right.
Well, Easter Sunday was a beautiful day. We had wonderful worship service.
The kind of day, says Pastor John Walker, that made you happy you lived in the tiny farming community of Murdock, Nebraska.
It's definitely a Norman Rockwell type of thing. It's not just a place where you live, but it's a place where you've got your roots.
That was certainly true for Sharmon and Wayne Stock, a prosperous farm couple whose family had tilled this land for generations.
This couple was well-liked, well-known.
Two of the kindest, most open-hearted, warm-hearted, and friendly people that you'll meet.
As they watched the grandkids hunting for Easter eggs on the front lawn, did they have any thought this would be their last day alive? There was no warning. Late that night, after everyone had gone home, two people arrived at the Stokes' isolated farmhouse. They entered through a side window, navigating the confusing layout with seeming ease. They climbed the stairs to the bedroom, and then for legendary crime scene investigator David Kofod, it became one more gruesome scene.
You've seen a lot of pretty bad stuff.
Yes.
How did this stack up?
It was kind of like something out of Truman Capote's In Cold Blood. A couple in their upstairs bedroom in the middle of nowhere, Nebraska, a farmhouse, and they were brutally murdered while they were sleeping.
Kofod and his investigators pieced together what must have happened.
The first shot missed the male victim and hit the bed.
In those chaotic moments, it appears Wayne Stock fought for his life.
The suspect got the gun away and then shot the victim in the knee.
He was found tangled in his bedclothes in the doorway to the bedroom.
The male victim was trying to crawl away, and then he was shot in the back of the head at close range.
What did Sharmon think in those last few seconds as she struggled to dial 911?
She was shot in the face.
Local police in this rural community had little experience with brutal homicide. So they called in the pro from Omaha. If anyone could figure this one out, it was Kofod.
He is the Douglas County Crime Scene Investigation Unit.
Mary Williams reported the story for KMTV.
He was the man. He was the go-to guy.
When other people couldn't seem to solve these crimes, you could. How is that?
I was like a dog with a bone, you know, that would keep going and going and going.
In the community of Murdock, there was disbelief.
It was, of course, total shock.
They hear a well-known, well-liked couple is murdered in their beds. The fear factor comes into play right away. This is a place where you don't lock your doors, but you're locking your doors tonight.
At the Stokes Memorial Service, the pastor invites people to write down their feelings.
Out of the 350 pieces of paper, 250 of them said the same thing. That was why.
Speculation was rampant. Could this crime simply be a random act of violence by strangers? But as anyone in law enforcement will tell you, random crimes are rare.
Like 84% of all murders are committed by close family members or friends. So that's logically who you're going to look to begin with.
And for Kofod, there were a lot of clues pointing to an inside job.
It was a dark gravel road. It wasn't near the interstate. It wasn't near any major highways. It appeared to us that somebody knew where they were going and how to get in the house and how to go up into that bedroom. Also, we didn't see any indication of robbery. There was no jewelry missing. This money was right out in the open. So we thought, well, this has got to be a personal attack.
Attention quickly began to center on two men.
How did Matt Livers and Nick Sampson become the focus of the investigation as suspects?
The focus of the investigation turned towards Matt Livers based largely upon interviews with the Stoke family.
Guys, I had nothing to do with this.
Matthew Livers, the 28-year-old son of Sharmon's sister, was reportedly angry.
there was some thought that Matt Livers had disagreements with Wayne Stock and that might have been the motive for the killings.
He was a disgruntled nephew that felt left out of the financial rewards of the family.
That's when the rumors started swirling. Oh, why would he do this? What did he have to gain? Was there bad blood?
Under police questioning, he admitted having problems with Wayne and Sharmon.
What did Wayne say to you? Or is this a combination of all those years of just treating you like you're some black sheep? That's what I felt like.
The brother of the woman who was killed told the police, my sister always told me if anything happens to me, tell the cops to look at Matt Livers. That's pretty significant.
Livers was close with his cousin Nick Sampson, and during the investigation, police discovered some interesting coincidences. The night of the murder, a suspicious tan car was spotted near the farmhouse. Livers and Sampson had access to a tan car, and it turned out it had been thoroughly cleaned the morning after the murder.
The car was detailed at 5:30 in the morning on that same day, which is an awful odd coincidence.
Through many hours of interrogation, Livers denies everything.
I didn't do it. You're full of you did too.
But gradually, police start to get to him.
We're not saying you're a bad person, Matt, okay? We believe that Wayne pushed you over the edge. I've heard from so many people that I've interviewed about you, your temper's like that. Yeah. Okay?
Finally, after 5 hours of questioning, Livers begins to confess.
The truth is, you got a gun, right or wrong. Right. And you took that gun back to your Uncle Wayne and Aunt Sharmon's house, right? Right or wrong? Come on, man. Right.
He tells them he and Nick Sampson were responsible, giving details only the killer could have known.
Then I put the gun to her face and blew it away. Okay. And then as I headed out, I just stuck it to him and blew him away.
Prosecutors charged the couple's nephew, Matt Livers, and cousin Nick Sampson with the double murder.
You got a guy who said he did it. He's related to the deceased. It fits the pattern. Case closed.
But there was one small problem as prosecutors began putting together a case against Livers and Sampson. There was no physical evidence.
No fingerprints of Sampson and Livers at the farmhouse.
No.
None of their blood so far has turned up positive.
No.
And not a trace in the car Livers said they'd used. Another problem. Livers took it all back the next morning.
I've been just making things up to satisfy you guys.
Investigators didn't believe him, but under Nebraska law, they needed more than just a now recanted confession. They needed proof. So they sent in the best of the best, the guy who could find evidence when no one else could.
They had you take a second look at the car.
Right. Well, you know, if they drove the car, there's got to be something there. So I went through areas that I know that we hadn't looked at earlier.
He swabbed under the steering wheel and found, lo and behold, a single tiny drop of blood.
I think it ended up being 7 nanograms of DNA, which is...
That's a speck.
You can't see that with a microscope.
When the swab came back from the lab, there was a match.
It's Wayne Stock, the male victim's blood.
You've got a confession, and now the evidence they were looking for to tie the bad guys to the scene of the crime. Double whammy.
But a new witness was about to turn up, and what she had to say about Livers and Sampson would soon turn this case upside down. There was someone else in the farmhouse bedroom that night.
They all believe that Livers and Sampson were involved and all this stuff, and I was like trying to get these people to believe me, like no. And it's like they didn't want to hear it. They weren't there with me. Me and Greg were the only people there.